Belle Collective Season 7, Episode 7 Review. Are these real friendships or strategic alliances? Season 7, Episode 7 of Belle Collective continues to peel back the layers of what appears to be a group of successful women navigating business, friendship, and personal boundaries. However, the deeper the episode goes, the more one central question becomes unavoidable. Are these women truly friends, or are they simply maintaining relationships for proximity, opportunity, and television? This episode does not rely on one explosive moment to carry the narrative. Instead, it builds tension through conversations, reactions, and subtle shifts in tone. What unfolds is not just drama, but a reflection of what happens when ambition and emotion begin to collide. Stormy Steele and the weight of visibility. Stormy remains one of the most visible figures in the group, both in terms of her business growth and her presence within the social circle. Her continued success is undeniable. She is working, expanding, and positioning herself as a leader among the women. Yet, her progress seems to create discomfort. The reactions from others are not always direct, but they are noticeable. There is a difference between verbal support and emotional support, and this episode highlights that gap. While there are congratulatory words, there is also hesitation, silence, and subtle resistance. This raises an important question. When someone in your circle is thriving, are you celebrating them, or are you quietly measuring yourself against them? Stormy's position in the group forces everyone else to confront their own feelings about success, comparison, and self-worth. The tension surrounding her is not only about what she is doing, but about what others may feel they are not doing. The fragility of group dynamics. What becomes increasingly clear in this episode is that the group's foundation is unstable. The friendships appear functional on the surface, but underneath, there are unresolved issues that continue to resurface. Communication remains one of the group's biggest weaknesses. Rather than addressing concerns directly, many of the women rely on indirect conversations. Feelings are discussed with third parties instead of the person involved. By the time these issues come to the group, they are often distorted, exaggerated, or emotionally charged. This leads to a cycle. A misunderstanding occurs. It is discussed privately. It returns publicly in a more intense form. The result is not resolution, but escalation. So the question becomes, are these women avoiding honest conversations because they fear conflict, or because they are more comfortable with indirect control? The group event. A familiar breakdown. The group gathering in this episode follows a pattern that has become predictable. What begins as a space for connection quickly turns into a platform for confrontation. Someone feels excluded. Someone feels disrespected. Someone decides it is the right time to address a lingering issue. What is striking is not that conflict occurs, but how quickly it replaces any sense of unity. These gatherings no longer feel like opportunities to strengthen relationships. Instead, they function as checkpoints where unresolved tension is brought forward. Why does every group interaction seem to carry the expectation of conflict? It suggests that the issues between these women are not situational, but structural. The foundation of their relationships may not be strong enough to sustain both personal and professional pressures. Business and friendship, a difficult balance. One of the most compelling elements of this episode is the ongoing struggle to balance business ambitions with personal relationships. All of the women are entrepreneurs. They are building brands, creating opportunities, and seeking growth. On paper, this should be a shared bond. In reality, it appears to be a source of friction. Support and competition are closely intertwined. There is an unspoken tension between wanting to uplift each other and wanting to maintain individual prominence. This creates a complicated dynamic where encouragement may coexist with comparison. Can individuals in the same professional space truly support one another without feeling threatened? This episode suggests that the answer is not simple. The presence of cameras, public perception, and personal pride only intensifies the challenge. The role of perception and assumptions. Another key theme in this episode is how quickly assumptions take the place of facts. Instead of seeking clarity, several cast members interpret actions through their own emotional lens. A comment becomes an insult. A decision becomes a personal attack. Silence becomes disapproval. This pattern reflects a deeper issue, a lack of trust. When trust is weak, people fill in the gaps with their own narratives. Unfortunately, those narratives are often shaped by insecurity, past experiences, or unresolved resentment. So it is worth asking, how much of the conflict in this group is based on reality, and how much is based on perception? Accountability and deflection. As tensions rise, accountability becomes another area of concern. In multiple interactions, there is a noticeable reluctance to fully acknowledge personal contributions to the conflict. Instead, the focus often shifts outward. "That's not what I meant. You misunderstood me. That's not how it happened." While these responses may be valid in certain contexts, they also serve as a form of deflection when overused. Growth requires reflection. Without it, the same patterns are likely to repeat. This episode highlights a group that is still struggling to take full responsibility for their actions and their impact on others. Emotional undercurrents and unspoken tension. What makes this episode particularly effective is not the overt drama, but the emotional undercurrent that runs throughout it. There are moments where the tension is not expressed through words, but through tone, body language, and timing. These subtle cues reveal more than any direct confrontation. It becomes clear that not everything is being said. There are feelings that remain unspoken, either because they are too complex, too uncomfortable, or too risky to express. However, those feelings do not disappear. They accumulate, and when they eventually surface, they do so with greater intensity. A turning point or a continuation. Episode 7 feels like a transition. It does not resolve the conflicts that have been building, but it brings them closer to the surface. The relationships are being tested, and the outcomes remain uncertain. This raises an important question. Is this group moving toward resolution, or are they heading toward a more significant breakdown? The answer will likely depend on whether the cast members are willing to change their approach to communication, accountability, and support. Final thoughts. Season 7, Episode 7 of Belle Collective offers a layered look at the complexities of friendship and ambition. It moves beyond surface-level drama and explores the deeper dynamics that shape how people relate to one another. At its core, the episode asks viewers to consider several questions. Are these relationships built on genuine connection, or convenience? Can success within a group exist without comparison? Is communication being used to resolve issues, or to manage perception? And perhaps most importantly, who in this group is truly invested in the well-being of the others? These questions do not have easy answers. However, they are essential to understanding the direction of the season. What is clear is that the tension is not disappearing. It is evolving, and as it does, the stakes for both the friendships and the businesses involved continue to rise.